Marcy does it for me. What was that? Marcy does it. Everybody else pretty much calls it my thing.
Get one of those wireless phones, microphones that I see all the time on Facebook. Boom, and then clip it right to your guy. They're like $20 for two of them, according to Facebook.
That's my $20.
That's your $20. That's Blade.
Yeah. They don't.
Expensive.
They don't. I can't even expense anything. They don't expense anything. You will? Thank you, brother.
Just let you know, we are
All kinds of help out there.
All right. All right, we're good.
Y'all to 4%, y'all to 10% representation.
No, I mean, you already did 51. Well, hey guys, good afternoon. My name is Frank LaRose, Ohio Secretary of State. I'm joined by Don and Fritz from the Lucas County Board of Elections. Everything we do in elections administration is bipartisan, so we've got a Democrat and a Republican member of the Board of Elections. What we're here to talk about is the post-election audit. First, I want to thank you all as members of the media for covering this. This is one of the reasons why I'm traveling around the state this week, is to really shine a light on the post-election audit. It's really the culmination of the 2024 election process. We run audits after every election in Ohio. What is a post-election audit? It's simply an opportunity to count the hard copy paper and compare it to that electronic result and make sure that the two reconcile. It's just one of the many security features that we build into our elections so that Ohioans can know that yes, it's easy to vote and it's hard to cheat, and that they can trust the results of their elections. This is something that, again, as I said, we do following every election. We've routinely had an accuracy rate above 99.9%. In fact, I anticipate that that will be the case again. I was just down in Hamilton County 2 days ago where they are wrapping up their post-election audit. Here in Lucas County, they're doing the prep work now to prepare for it. Some of the other things that we do to make sure that Ohioans know that they can trust their elections, it starts with the way that we even organize our elections administration in Ohio. It's a completely bipartisan enterprise. Just when it seems like Republicans and Democrats can't agree what day of the week it is in Washington, every Board of Elections, yours and 87 others, are run by Democrats and Republicans working well together as patriots. Their staff are half Democratic and half Republican. And so that's just one of the things that we do. We also work hard to maintain accurate voter rolls. That means, yes, we remove deceased voters on a monthly basis. We make sure that only citizens are registered to vote. When people move, we work with the BMV and with the National Change of Address database to make sure that we can get people's addresses updated. And when someone moves out of state, we make sure to get them removed from the voter rolls as promptly as possible under that scenario as well. We have voting machines that are never connected to the internet. It's important to emphasize that because a lot of the wildest conspiracy theories out there are based on this false idea that somehow someone could remotely tamper with a voting machine. Voting machines in Ohio and in other states are not even capable of an internet connection. There's no Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth, no LAN connection, nothing that connects a voting machine to the outside world. And that's why on election night, when those bipartisan teams of elections officials bring all of their materials back here to the Board of Elections, we can promptly count those up using electronic tabulation and report those results on election night. Ohioans want to know and deserve to know the results, those unofficial results on election night. We continue to do that even though other states in some cases take days or even weeks to report their initial results. We give it to you on election night. But again, that's not the final word either. we count the hard copy paper. To be clear, 100% of Ohio's ballots are on paper, without exception. Whether you fill in an oval and it goes through a scanner, or whether you touch a touch screen and it prints out your ballot, every vote in Ohio is recorded on paper. And so in that sense, we really have the redundancy of two separate systems in parallel. I've had some people say, all right, LaRose, why don't we just get rid of electronic voting altogether, because by God, you can't cheat with paper. Well, that's not true, really, if you think about it. I think 1960s Chicago proved that people can cheat with paper too. So the important thing is to make sure that there are safeguards and redundancies in place to assure that people aren't cheating, right? So that electronic, accurate, quick result on election night is one part of it, and then we go back and count the paper and make sure that they compare. So we don't just have electronic, we don't just have paper, we have both side by side. This is that audit process that proves that the paper matched the electronic result. Now, how does it work? What they do is they randomly select 5% of the ballots, a number of precincts that equals up to 5% of the ballots in the county, and then they audit those for 3 separate races. We determine at the Secretary of State's office 2 races, and then the County Board of Elections selects another one. Those precincts are randomly selected, and so then the election officials, Democrats and Republicans, go through and physically count the paper. They'll be doing that throughout the day tomorrow, and will report that result publicly. And again, if those results somehow don't line up with the electronic result, they have to start over again. And they have to select a different 5% and then hand count those. And if there was still a discrepancy between them, then they would have to report it to our office, and we could and likely would require a full countywide recount if there was that kind of a disparity. I'm happy to say that we've never had that happen again, but this is just that redundancy and safeguard to make sure that people know they can trust the process. Here's the other thing. Nothing is ever a secret at a Board of Elections. It is a fully transparent process, and so people that are election integrity enthusiasts, maybe instead of just sharing things that they saw on Facebook, can come in and actually see the process. Maybe even sign up to be an election official themselves and learn why we can say with full confidence that it's both easy to vote and hard to cheat. My little unofficial motto for our team is that we run elections so well that even the loser knows they lost. Of course, the winner knows they won. They're going to go give a victory speech. They'll take it for granted. But we need to do it so well, so transparently, above board. We need to run our elections so well that even the loser knows they lost. Hopefully calls the winner and congratulates them. That's the way it should work. That's the way we run things in Ohio. And again, this is just the culmination of that process. Wanted to offer our board members an opportunity to say something, and then happy to take any questions that you have for me.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Dawn.
Good afternoon. My name's Dawn Kristen, and I am the Democrat one of the Democrats on the Lucas County Board of Elections. And I couldn't echo more what Secretary LaRose said. We're very fortunate here in Ohio, and particularly here in Lucas County. Since my time on the board, it's my first term, we've never had an audit that does not match what the official results were at the end of the election. We're hoping that that is the case with this audit that's in process currently. We work very hard at the Lucas County Board of Elections, and I think across the state, to ensure that our elections are fair and transparent, and we have very good working relationships across the aisle. So,
Fritz?
For Sean, I'm the chairman of the Board of Elections here at Lucas County, and Secretary LaRose hit on something. If you have any questions about the integrity of the elections, you have an opportunity to be a poll worker. So anytime someone questioned me on that, I suggest they do it, and the people return back after training and after being part of the election, they are enthusiastically surprised at how many different checks and balances there are in the election process. So, you know, my challenge of anybody who really questions the election integrity in Ohio or here in Lucas County, to be a poll worker, be part of the process.
Thank you, Fritz. Thank you, Don. And these are just 2 great examples of the dedicated elections officials all throughout the state that really do the daily work of running elections. I've had a lot of people congratulate me and say, well, hey, listen, the 2024 election was really smooth. We had those results on election night. I said, it's not me. It's our hardworking teams at our county boards of elections. It's 35,000 election day poll workers. Again, half Democrat, half Republican, all patriots working together to do this work. And so the fact that Ohio's recognized as a gold standard in elections administration is because of their dedication, and really appreciate the work that the Lucas County Board of Elections does and 87 others, and looking forward to the results of the audit. With that, happy to take any questions that you all have for me.
Going to all 88 counties in Ohio?
Not going to make it to all 88 this week, but coming to each of the sort of major regions of the state. And again, the idea here is to try to get members of the media to cover this. Listen, I understand that it's hard to make a headline out of Board of Elections proves nothing went wrong, right? Like that's not exactly the easiest headline to write, but this is an important thing for civic education, for people to learn how the elections work, and the fact that we do this work of running a post-election audit. I bet you most of your viewers have no idea that the Board of Elections in the month of December is hand counting the paper and making sure that it matched with the electronic result. I think that's important civic education, and that's why I'm traveling around the state to try to shine a light on this work.
Seems like that's more important these days. There's a lot more questions being raised about the integrity of elections. And it's more important than ever.
So, you know, some people could bemoan that. I view it as an opportunity. Listen, during my time as an active duty Army Green Beret, I've traveled to a lot of places where people don't really invest a lot of emotion in their elections because they know it's not going to really change anything, or the process is not really honest, or whatever else. Thank God here in the United States of America, Democrats and Republicans care deeply, viscerally, really, about the integrity of their elections, the accessibility of their elections. We know it's our voice. And so, yeah, Americans get a little fired up about this, and they should. Unfortunately, because of that emotionality, some people also prey on that and spread false information. It's our job to simply flood the zone with accurate information to make sure that people can see behind the curtain. There's nothing to hide at a Board of Elections, and understand how trustworthy the process is. Again, it's an opportunity for civic education. People maybe prior to 4 or 5 years ago didn't really think much about the inner workings of their county board of elections. The fact that they do now, let's use that as an opportunity to educate the public about how well run our elections truly are.
Secretary LaRose,
Yeah.
The audit process, as you have just described, how long has it been in place?
Yeah, I know that for the 5 years that I've been Secretary of State, I've required it for every election. The law currently requires it for presidential and gubernatorial elections, but I've directed that the boards of elections do it for every election. I believe it began under my predecessor when Lieutenant Governor Husted was Secretary of State. I think that's how long it's been done. And there's two different ways to do it. There's what's called a risk limiting audit. That's what the Hamilton County Board of Elections was doing when I was down there 2 days ago. That's more of it's a pretty sophisticated statistical technique that sort of turns up the number of ballots counted when the race is really close, and turns down the number of ballots counted when the race is kind of a blowout. And then there's a percentage base. They're both good. They're both viewed by statisticians as an accurate way to audit an election. Here in Lucas County, they're doing what's called a percentage-based audit. And again, that's the choice of the County Board of Elections.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Attorney General Jones just announced he's running for governor. What do you plan on? What's your plans in the future?
Not here to talk about that. Listen, I've enjoyed answering the call to service. I love the work I do right now, and I will talk about it and pray about it with my family, and see if there are chances to continue giving good public service to our state or to our nation, but not here to talk about that today. Anything else, guys? All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Fritz? Don?
Secretary?
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was gonna be my last question was, are you running for governor?